want to talk to, we are going through it like some lunatic, making sure that we get back to everybody, because it's terrible if you don't answer all your emails. Some way we've programmed it that we've become slaves to the email. So another, we've got these distractions. And the problem with these distractions is, as smart as we think we are, even women, our brains can't multitask, okay? It's a truism. Our brains don't like it. Our brains function most effectively when we are focusing on one thing at a time. It's been proven time and time again, and I know, ladies, I would argue the fact that we can multitask, but we can't. We can't. We can't do it. So the key then to being effective is to stay focused. Okay? And staying focused is not just going to happen. We have to work at staying focused. And the way I have been staying focused, and it's something that you might want to try, and it's the only way to stay focused, is to book some focused time with yourself. It is about turning off the phone, turning off the email, taking yourself to a place where you can just focus, putting on the timer on your clock, on your watch, on your phone, but not looking at the phone, and literally making an hour of time a day, so you create a new habit for yourselves where that is my focus time. I am going to focus on the things I need to achieve. Could be your objectives, could be the things that you've set yourself to do, but you're going to focus and you're going to give yourself that time. Because if you don't, you won't. Okay? So your key takeaway from that is turn off the phone, turn off your email, just focus and give yourself an hour. Okay? 1 hour a day. Get into a new habit. Now this is an interesting quote thing to ponder from Oprah. So I was reading about, somebody sent me a podcast to listen to, and it was this one. It was Oprah Winfrey's. It was a masterclass in how she has succeeded and some of the most important things that she stayed true to throughout her whole career. And this, she said, is the one thing that's always stayed true to her heart, which is you can only run your own race. Keep your blinkers on. Now for me, I read that, I was like, oh, but surely we're going to be contemplating what's the competition doing, what's the market doing. We've got to keep up with the times, we've got to be out there, we've got to know what's going on so we can protect ourselves and we can be prepared. But actually, the view that she's saying is, look, don't waste your time looking at what everybody else is doing. If you know what you want to achieve, it's your race. The minute you stop and you start to look behind, you're losing ground. You're losing ground. So keep your blinkers on. Be focused and just go for it. Run as fast as you can, do it as hard as you can. Just go for it, go for it, go for it. Don't let anybody put you off. Don't let any naysayers kind of get in the way. You keep your blinkers on and you stay focused. And I thought that was quite contrary to the way I've always really thought about business life. But actually, again, it just really chimed with me. And I thought, you know what, she's got a point. Sometimes we can spend so much time looking at what others are doing and thinking, oh, I'm not doing it quite that well, or maybe I should be doing this better, or maybe I should be... Actually, be true to yourself, trust yourself. It's your race. You run as fast as you can. So very interesting, but I liked it, so I wanted to share that with you. So the other thing that, again, I loved from my Christmas reading is don't leave an idea for even 10 minutes. Matty's going to resonate with this. We had a conversation just last week. Write it down, okay? Woody Allen. So what Woody Allen does for all of his writing, for all of his script writing, for all of his ideas, is every time he has an idea, he said you will never catch him without a pack of Post-it notes and a notebook. He goes nowhere without a pack of Post-it notes and a notebook, because he has these ideas and he just writes them down. He writes them down, he sticks them all in a drawer, and then once, every so often, he gets them all out and he puts them all around. So how many of you have ever had an idea or a dream where you've woken up and thought, God, that was brilliant, I had this great idea. How many have had a great idea?
3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning. How many of you had a great idea, but then you can't quite remember it?
Yeah.
You can't quite remember, oh, that was brilliant, but I can't remember it. Oh my God, you know. And so don't let that happen. Don't let those sparks of genius disappear. And also keep them and collate them, because the way our crazy brains work is that you never quite know when the rest of the jigsaw puzzle is going to come together.
Yeah.
You just never quite know. We've got a man with experience here. Nodding it. Yes, Zig. You never quite know. So, you know, my takeaway is make sure that you keep a little notebook and write it down. Any idea, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how crazy, if you have that idea, that gene of brilliance, just write it down. It's all got potential. Okay?
I keep the notebook by my bed.
Keep the notebook, but so do I.
And I've got one old wallet.
Yes, there you go. There you go. So you are practicing what I am learning about. The other aspect, okay, so this starts to turn on, we're all busy business owners, and it's all about us. We're the people behind, we're the driving force, and we're human beings. So, you know, it's really important that we look after ourselves as well. And sleeping is no mean art. For its sake, one must stay awake all day. Friedrich Nietzsche, the wonderful German philosopher, poet, writer, author. But, you know, it's important to sleep, okay? Now, we've all met people, I'm one of them, that can survive on, I can survive on 4 hours. I don't need sleep. I can stay awake for 20 hours. I'm like Margaret Thatcher. You know, I can be brilliant even on 4 hours. Not true. Not true. Simply not true, okay? You might be awake, but you are not performing. You are not at your peak. You are not as sharp. You cannot be focused. You will lose focus all the time when you are tired. So it's really important to get sleep. And you've almost got to manage your sleep like you manage your business and your life. I am going to have some sleep. And I am going to rest. And it's about making sure that you create an environment that enables that. And the optimum amount of sleep each day is 7 hours. It's not 8 hours, it's 7. 7. So it's about building those 7 hours into your evening so that you get to sleep, so that the brain actually gets to come back to its full power and you can perform and be at your peak. Because without sleep, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay? So, my key little takeaway on that one is sleep. The other thing about sleeping is also our brains like to lull between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, so they're really sleepy at that time. So that's good because hopefully we're asleep then. But then in the afternoon, between 1 and 3 p.m, our brains take a natural dip. It's got nothing to do with food, it's got nothing to do with what we've eaten, it's just part of what happens with the brain. So if you know you've got to be really on it, really sharp and really focused, don't book a meeting potentially between those times. You know, that is not the optimum time to be at your peak performance from a brain activity perspective. So just be mindful of that and maybe avoid that time. So, Albert Einstein, it's a miracle curiosity survives formal education. Okay? So this is a beautiful saying, and you know, between the age of 2 and 5, we ask on about 40,000 questions. It's the time when we're at our most inquisitive, between 2 and 5 years of age. Age 4 is actually the optimum year, where we ask 300 questions a day. So if anybody's got any children, I've had 2 children, and boy oh boy have I been through those questions. You know, it's true. They never stop asking questions. What happens, however, is as we grow older, we stop asking questions. Now, some say, not just Albert Einstein, but Ken Robinson, lots of other kind of philosophers or modern philosophers will say that that's to do with the fact that education is more focused on answers than questions. Okay? But it's not just about that, it's also about our evolution. Our bodies and our brains only need us to know enough so that we can survive. Okay? So actually, once we've learned all the survival stuff, we stop asking those questions because we know that now. We know what's safe, we know what's not safe, we know what we need to eat, we know what we can't, we know those things. So actually it starts to reduce those questions naturally and organically. But to actually solve problems and become a brilliant problem solver, which in business you have to be a brilliant problem solver. To be successful in business, you have to solve problems, you have to solve other people's problems, you have to solve your own problems, you have to solve employee problems. There's problems being solved all the time. Problems of the world, maybe your business. You have to be a problem solver. And to be a problem solver, you have to have a curious mind. You have to ask questions. And if we've stopped asking questions, we've got to how do I get those questions going again? How do I become more curious? So some great curious people in time, Albert Einstein being one of them, Isaac Newton being another. Who here has a to-do list? Anybody keep to-do lists?
Yeah.
I do, yeah. Oh, most of us, okay. Who has a why list? So a why list is questions. You have questions, write them down. You have a why list. And these are all the things you want to know, all the things you want to figure out, all the things that you're not sure about, all the things that you think are unjust. Create a why list. And then feel happy ticking those off when you've learned something, when you've actually gained that knowledge of the curious thing that was there. The other tactic, and you know, I was reading a lot about Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins, Elon Musk. The thing that these guys do, and lots of others, is they have this 3 why question process. So you ask the question why? Why is that? Okay, you get the answer. You then ask the question why again. So why is that? Okay, you get the answer. And then you ask that question again. So why is that? And at the end of that, then you really have got the clarity and the understanding of the why. And that's a good tactic, not just for your own understanding, but that's a good tactic to